Hi, guys. I'm your host, Leilani Diaz, and welcome to my podcast. I was busy dancing, and it's basically about me talking with some UNL student dancers and just having them share about their dance experiences, moments as a dancer. And so today I am here with Grace Thompson,
Hey.
and we will be asking you questions about your experiences. So, first question is, how did you first get into dance?
Yeah, so pretty much, I don't even really remember how. I just knew I was in kindergarten and I was at the local studio in my small town. I'm from Omaha, Nebraska, but specifically Bennington, Nebraska, which at the time was a pretty small town kind of outside of Bennington. And we had a dance studio in our town, and I was taking classes there with the same kids I was in elementary school with, and Girl Scouts with, in preschool with. So it was a very small local studio. And I stayed there through about elementary school. And then in middle school, I realized that I was like, oh, dance is really cool. Like that's when like dance moms started to come out. And like, not to be that person, but like dance moms definitely had an influence on like my age group, like our generation. Like everyone saw dance moms and wanted to be like them. So I was like, I think I want to do this a little bit more seriously. So I switched studios and I auditioned for the competition team. Actually didn't make it my first year. It's like a lot of motivation to try harder. And then I made the competition team my second year there. And I was like, oh, this is so cool. And so I was very much like a studio kid. Didn't really do dance teams in high school. I was at a studio kindergarten through my senior year of high school. And that's kind of where I was. I was very much a competition kid too, once I was in that world.
And so, like, since you were in like studio, like, what sort of training did you guys have?
Yeah, so we had kind of the typical studio experience: ballet, tap, jazz, your basic stuff, and then hip hop, lyrical, musical theater, all that kind of stuff. My studio also did clogging. I never did clogging. I never went on point, but it was very basic. We didn't have any of the fun classes that a lot of bigger studios have, like ballroom. So I teach at a studio now where they have a ballroom class because it's just a little bigger. But even the studio I changed to, it was still a small studio, especially Omaha standards. Our competition team was only 20 dancers, and other competition teams in the Omaha area would have like 80, like so many kids. And I definitely was like a very smaller studio kind of vibe.
So, like, seems like there's a lot of like dance styles, and so which one did you specifically like focus on the most?
I definitely felt a connection to jazz and musical theater the most. The way my studio works was you would kind of like apply for a solo, and then the studio director would be like, yep, you're good, or like, maybe not this year. And she would give you genres that you were allowed to do. And I was only ever given jazz and musical theater, which I was okay with that. I was not going to do a tap solo. But so I definitely always felt really drawn to them. And I even like, at a studio, you have to be good at everything. They tell you, they're like, you can like have a favorite, but like you need to be able to do everything. And so I started to feel that like draw towards jazz as I came to college, and as I honestly like lost jazz, because like, our department, the dance department at UNL doesn't have a jazz program. There's no jazz classes. And that's when I was like, wait, that's what I actually love. Like modern's really cool, ballet is really cool, but jazz is like my kind of space for sure.
So you said that like jazz and
musical theater. Yeah.
What are like the differences between those?
Yeah, so definitely musical theater is more of an umbrella term for anything that's more performance based. You can have musical theater hip hop. So like if you watch the choreography from Hamilton, like that's hip hop. You can have musical theater that's more jazz based, chorus line. Usually see jazz and musical theater that kind of come from the same branch of the same tree. But jazz also is kind of a big umbrella term for a lot of dance styles as well. So you can have more commercial jazz, you can have more contemporary jazz, you can have more jazz that's more from like the roots where it actually comes from as an African American dance form. So there's just so many things that fall under jazz, and musical theater falls under jazz sometimes. So it's a big family tree in the dance world for sure.
Yes. So since you did jazz, I know you did a jazz class for the Kisses dance group. Like you were the teacher, and so how is it like for you to like what's your process of teaching?
Yeah, so my process of teaching is honestly, I think of all the classes I've taken in my life and what I really, really love about those classes and what I really, really hate about some of the classes I've taken. So when I'm teaching, my main goal is to create an environment that the dancers and everyone taking the class feels comfortable to flop, like to literally fail or to shine. Like it's a very collaborative environment. Like we're going to cheer for everyone as they go across the floor. We're going to cheer when we watch small groups. You have the liberty to make the creative choices that you want to make when you're dancing, because growing up, in the competition world, this is the way it's done. You don't get that creative with how you dance. You don't get to really explore your own sense of movement. And then when I teach, I want to make sure that, especially because they're adults. So when I teach kids, it's very different. But when I teach college students, I want to give them the space to find themselves in my choreography, because that was my favorite. That's one I love to, take what a instructor gives you and then put your own spin on it. That's a strong dancer. That's a smart dancer.
Yeah, like I love how you mentioned how like when you were in like doing the competition, it's
Yeah.
very different from like teaching, because like the environment is like not as intense. And so is that something you try to like express to people and just tell them like it's okay?
Yes, definitely. Like one of my fears when I started dancing in college was that it was going to be intense, because in studio growing up, we went to conventions a lot of year, and conventions are a whole day long where you take classes, and then at the end of the day, you either perform what you did in the classes or you compete at the end of the day. And the conventions are huge hotel ballrooms with like 100, 200 people in there. And the instructor is probably some famous choreographer who's like a big deal. And there's an assistant who's just amazing. And you're in there with 200 people, and there's people that are just amazing. You watch them and you're like, oh my God, you're in the back corner. You're like, this is just not a positive dance environment. I don't feel like I'm able to succeed here because I'm not being supported. Like I don't feel like I can be seen. And I was scared that coming to college, that every day was going to be a convention class. And thank God it wasn't. If anything, the classes in college dancing are more comfortable than like classes in studio world, where you get way more freedom, you get way more like liberty of your choices. So definitely, if that answers that.
Yeah. And like how would you like describe the dance community here?
Yeah, the dance community at UNL is honestly, I love it. Like it's been so great. Like I didn't join the dance program until my sophomore year, and it is like the defining experience of my college career, because it's such a close-knit group. And that's any dance group though. My dance studio was close-knit. The dance company here is close-knit. The other dance group I'm a part of in Lincoln are close-knit. It's just part of being a dancer, is you're going to be close with the people you're with. And I'd say everyone's really supportive, especially like no matter what style you dance. We have modern dancers, we have ballet dancers, we have postmodern dancers, we have hip hop, jazz. Everyone is appreciative of everyone's craft and is very supportive in that. And that's something that has been great to kind of watch grow as I've been in the program, because I feel like it has changed, like where it used to be kind of like very like, okay, we're all going to do modern, but I feel like everyone's kind of been like, well, modern really isn't my thing. This is my thing. And everyone's been like, great, do your thing. Like, do what you're great at. We want to see you succeed. And I like see that, and I feel that within the faculty, within the professors, and also within the dancers as well.
Yeah.
It's very good.
Like since I'm a dance minor, like I also feel the same way, because you also are a dance minor.
Yeah.
And so like I just feel like even if they're like a major or like someone who's not even part of the program, like you feel like it's like a family.
Yeah, there's I know in some programs, like, so I'm a TMFD major, fashion merchandising. Like, I don't want to say like there is kind of a difference between majors and minors, because majors take all their classes together and minors just kind of show up sporadically. In the dance program, I'm technically a minor, but I'm taking as many classes as I possibly can. The faculty are like, yes, take as many, like if you have the time, if it's what you love, do it. Like I've been able to take classes that I shouldn't technically be able to take because I'm only a minor, because the faculty here want to see you push yourself. They want to see you succeed. And like all of your classmates are like, yeah, do it. Like there's no really distinction, major, minor, taking it for fun. We're all dancers at the end of the day.
Yeah. And I love how involved you are in, like, that's really
Thanks.
good. So more about like college, like dance college, the program here. So are there like any specific classes that you have significantly shaped your technique or mindset as a dancer?
All of them. But most notably, so one of the first classes I took in the program was ballet. And I think that was like, it was a positive, negative experience for me personally. I grew up dancing ballet in the studio in high school, like, every week, just really pretty normal. I didn't dance my freshman year of college. I didn't take any technique classes. I came in my sophomore year. If you've ever danced ballet before, you know that even taking 2 weeks off, taking a summer off, taking a winter break off is going to affect you. Now taking a full year off really was not great for my technique and for finding that. And so I took ballet my sophomore year and I kind of was like, this isn't my thing anymore. Like, I'm just not as good as I used to be. And I think accepting that was okay, but also knowing that dance is something you have to work at. Like, it's not going to come easy to you all the time. Like, definitely taking ballet at a college level, because ballet here, I will say, is harder than studio. Like, the classes are strict. Ballet classes are always going to be strict. So they're very much, you got to be on it. There's great people in them, and being like, be able to say, you know what, this isn't my thing. I'm going to learn from people, like being able to acknowledge, like, I'm going to learn from people. But then also hip hop. Hip hop was offered, I think you were in there, yeah, with
Mhm.
Gloria. That was my favorite dance class I've
Me
taken
too.
because it was more into my lane.
Me
Of course,
too.
like modern, you got to take modern. But that was definitely more my lane. Like, I felt like I got to dance more. I got to be more free in that class. Like, I got to make
Yeah.
more choices that I wanted to make in that class. So
Mhm.
definitely hip hop as well. So yeah.
Yeah. With like all those like classes you've been taking, like how do you input them in like the way you like perform?
Yeah. So we take majority modern classes. And if anything, we learn modern technique in that class. And I'm like, that technique is still really awesome. And I want to implement that. So it's more like some of the very basic, bare bones things about those dance classes that I'm able to implement into my other styles of dance. It's the details in dance. So many times, like, yes, the step is this 5, 6, 7, 8, but what are you doing in between the steps? Those transitions, those connections of the movement that you learn in modern is something you can really, really take to jazz, to ballroom, to hip hop, to literally any other style. So it's more about kind of the technique and kind of the little things I've been able to pick from classes has been like the most influential in taking to other styles.
What would you say is your favorite, like top favorite
Top favorite.
of like the dance, all the dance courses you've taken
Oh,
so far?
okay. Of all the dance classes I've taken so far, probably the one I'm in right now. I'm in dance composition, which is a class where you get to choreograph throughout the semester your own piece to your thing with the dancers you casted. You pick the music, the costumes, the lighting, and you get to see it at the end of the semester in student dance project. And this is the first year I've done it. I'm a senior. Some people start their sophomore year having pieces, but I kind of talked to the program. I was like, I want to take it. Like, if I'm able to take it, I know I'm not supposed to because I'm only a minor, but if I can I? And they were like, yeah, go for it. And it's been amazing to be able to like go through the process and choreograph in a little bit more of like an academic sense, because I choreograph for orchestras, I choreograph for the studio I work at all the time, but being able to choreograph and think about it at a little bit of a deeper level about the story you're telling, because obviously choreographing for 10, 11, and 12-year-old, the jazz class is a little different than choreographing a little bit more of a elevated piece like we do in composition class, for sure.
And like for like since you love dance composition right now, and it's about like creating your own
Mm-hmm.
pieces, and you mentioned about like teaching little kids to like
Yeah.
right now like adults, like how would you say is like you've improved on like from just
Yeah.
doing that?
So teaching adults was honestly where I started. I taught college students before I taught kids. And if anything from there, it's easier. Most people that are dancing in college have some sort of dance background. They came from a studio like I work at now, and they know what a bomba is. They know what they're supposed to be doing. And so I'm more setting choreography, and like it's more setting choreography and putting something together, where working with kids is like you're teaching. The word is teaching, because you are teaching them how to dance. You are teaching them basic dance technique. Like, we turn out when we do our batmas, like we need to have our shoulders down, all stuff that all of the college age students I choreograph with, they know that. I'm like, I just am like, you know what, shoulders down, guys. Like, when I teach kids, it's like we have to spend 15 minutes in class reaching up and pushing down. So it's very different. It's definitely, the word teaching is correct when you're with kids.
What sort of challenges did you face like while doing like your own choreographies?
Yeah, challenges. So, um, the creative juices just some days aren't flowing, and you've got rehearsal the next day, and you've got to have something to give your dancers. But you always find something. You always find something like that. But I will say, in dance composition, you just have to think about more elements, and it's sounds counterintuitive, but choreographing with more dancers is easier than choreographing with less
Wait,
dancers.
really?
Yes. For my orchestra's piece, I had 13 dancers. Formations were easy. I knew what we were going to do. I said, well, I got 13 people. We have to be in lines here. There were so many options, but I have 3 dancers. I have a trio. And I'm like, what? Like, there's 3 of us. Like, we got to fill the stage somehow, but I don't want us all always in a line or always like this. So definitely like working on how can I get 3 people to take up, because filling a space with 3 people is harder than filling a space with 13. So that's kind of, you have to think a little bit harder. So for me, what I've been kind of like, oh dang, like is how can I use 3 people to still be as impactful as 13?
More about creativity of like choreography. Have you like ever collaborated with like other students?
Oh yeah, for sure. So a lot of my like really close friends in the dance program are here, and like we'll choreograph together. So like there'll be days where I'm like, hey, like I'm really like, I don't know what we're gonna do for this rehearsal tomorrow. Like, can you come like down like literally to the studio with me, and can we work something out? Like, let's get a couple 8 counts down. Or she's like, can you watch this? Like, does this make sense? Does this feel natural? It feels natural for me, but how's it feel for you? So definitely collaborating in the dance world is always something, because you think of it in your head and you're like, I have to see it. I don't know what this looks like. Or, you know, that's why really big choreographers have assistants, because there's so much collaboration for sure.
Yeah, I haven't done like anything where I have to collaborate with someone, but just creating choreo is sometimes hard.
Yes.
And just coming up with something.
Yes.
Like you're just like, does that look good?
Literally, you're like, is this new enough? Like, is this cool enough? And you're like, oh, I'm not new or cool. I can't think of anything.
Yeah,
but
just having someone is just like, they'll like give you a better idea or just say, hey, no, we can like branch it out. Yeah.
for sure.
And like, how can you describe a recent choreography project you have done?
Yeah. So I can talk about Student Dance Project a little bit, the piece I'm doing for that, but it is still in progress. So I'll talk about a completed project. So last, what would have been this spring. So the last semester, I did the Orchesis piece for the Orchesis Student Dance Show, and I did the jazz piece, 13 Dancers, and it was When Doves Cry by Prince. And that was kind of a piece that I was like, I just want to do something that like the audience sees it. And it's like, even that's what I think for SDP. I always think about my own personal experience when I go to dance shows. And I always leave saying, I wish I would have seen something like this. I wish this would have been a choice that someone made, because I'm bored. Like I want to be entertained. That's why I love dance. Is it's entertaining. I love to sit and watch dance because it's fun to watch. I love to dance because it's fun to do. I want a dance that is fun to watch and fun to do. So even with all my choreography, even the Student Dance Project, even Orchesis, I'm thinking, what is the audience gonna like? Like, what's entertaining? Like, a lot of people use dance to like really express like, you know, some like harder emotions that are hard to say. For me, I use it to express like joy. Like, that's why I love dances. It's fun. I love doing it. And so that's definitely the driving initiative for any sort of choreography I do, or any piece or dance I put together is it fun for the dancers, and is the audience going to like it? I know sometimes in the modern world we say, oh, the audience doesn't matter. Like, it's your piece, do what you want. The audience is the people watching it. And I know that's like, you know, some people won't agree with it, but that's kind of the voice in my head is like, you're putting this for the audience. That's why I like jazz. That's why I like musical theater. It's performing. I love performing. So that's always in the back of my head for anything I'm doing.
Yeah, like I feel like the way you teach, I've seen like the way like you teach the students, and it's just like energetic and fun, and I love that.
Like, dance is fun. Don't be so serious. And like, there's a place for that. And like choreographers that do that, it's like, it's so their work is beautiful, but it's not me. And I'm, you know, I think growing up as a dancer and even starting in this program, I felt like I needed to choreograph a certain way. I felt like I needed to dance a certain way. As, you know, being a junior, senior, be like, I don't have to choreograph that way. I don't have to dance that way. I can do me, and that's just okay. Like, and that's more than okay, if anything. It's better to do you than to try and copy someone else.
Is there like someone that like influenced you the way you were describing the way you want to express your dances? Like an artist, a dance artist?
Like
anybody?
Everything. Like, I feel it sounds bad, but like everything in college like has just been like little pieces to put it together. But definitely, like there's 3 main ones I can think of. So my best friend is Skylar Ostronic. We danced together in high school, we went to the same studio. I convinced her to come here, and like she's like my collaborator. Like, she's who I'm gonna come and choreograph with. And just talking to her and just being like, you know what, like let's like do what we want to do. It's totally good. And then definitely Gloria, who was our hip hop professor. She's really great. And taking that class, I was like, oh my God, like I don't have to be this type of dancer. I don't have to be this type of choreographer. That's more than okay. So definitely I always am like looking to her, and like I've gotten critiques for her on my Student Dance Project stuff. And I've been like, yes, like you are giving me the critique that I'm missing and I need to be thinking about. And then also I had an experience at the ACDA conference, and she really was like a super good rock for me at that time. So she's like been a great influence. And then also like shout out Project 21, Molly Long choreography. She is my like choreography, like, I don't know, inspiration for everything. Look her up. She does, I don't know if you saw it, but it's like the You Don't Love Me. They wore like these gold everythings. It was beautiful. Weston, Molly Long, Project 21 is like everything. I'm like, that's dancing. Like, I love that. So that's my favorite choreographer.
Oh my gosh, like I've actually never heard of her, but like
That's okay.
but like I love how like you just want to just try to like improve on your like way of like dancing and teaching and all
Yeah.
that, especially since like Gloria has been critiquing
Yeah.
those things, and I think that's very important as a dancer is to like
Yes.
just know what things you want to like improve on.
Yeah, you're never done being a dancer. You always have something to learn. You always have something to teach someone. Like I remember like when I graduated high school, I was like, I'm done. Like I'm done dancing. I'm
Yeah.
like, this is the end of the road for me. And like I can't like the dancer I was 4 years ago versus the dancer I am today. I'm like, oh my God, like I'm glad I didn't leave it like that because that was not that good. Like, and I remember thinking like, yeah, I'm pretty good. But
Yeah,
no.
I can agree because like I was in like a dance team and like
Yeah.
I sometimes felt a little like I wasn't as good as the other dancers,
Yeah.
but now that I'm here, I feel like I can be myself and like
Yes.
express the way I want to dance.
Yeah, I feel like what I didn't really know about what dancing in college would be like is obviously there are dance programs that you're going to go. If you're going to go to Juilliard, you're going to go to USC and go to these amazing dance programs that are really technique based. You're going to be taking dance classes and you're going to be a great, amazing, perfect dancer. You're going to be one of the people in the conventions that everyone's scared about. But I feel like taking dance here has been more experience. I've learned more about dance, about dancing, about teaching dance, that I feel like I think about dance better than I did before because I didn't think about dance before. I was like, this is my leg, these are my arms, this is how I do the choreography. But I felt like there was so much more to dancing that like doing it in college has taught me. And I bet you agree. Like
Yeah.
there's just so much. There's like a whole other side that I didn't even think was there. I was like, oh.
Exactly. I was like, whoa, this whole new world.
Yeah, it was really cool though.
Yeah. And more about challenges because I feel like a lot of us go through that with dance. And so what sort of setbacks have you experienced in dance?
Yeah, so everything. Like no, but like if you don't have setbacks and you don't have challenges and you don't have rough moments as a dancer, like I don't believe you at all because I've realized that the people that continue dancing past a certain point are the people who had those setbacks, who had the challenges. This is so terrible of me, but to quote Abby Lee Miller, when Maddie Ziegler forgot her solo, she said, those kids who won everything when they were young, where are they now? They're not even dancing anymore. And like, that's it. Like, you got to have setbacks. But anyways, like I was never great. Like I was never like the person in the class. I was like, I'm not flexible. Like it was all that. Like I didn't make my high school dance team the first time I tried out for it. I didn't make my company's competition team the first time I tried out for it. And if anything, that taught me that if you're gonna want something, you want to do something, you're gonna have to work for it, and you're gonna have to like really try at it. So that was one. Dancing in college, ballet, realizing, oh my God, like I'm not as good at ballet as I thought I was. Like definitely like realizing that. Like and then also most recently at ACDA, like getting feedback that you're like, because competition, what the judges say is it. And then also realizing that, not every feedback you get, you have to take. Like some people are going to hate the way you dance. Some people are going to hate the way you look on stage. They're not going to agree with it, but it doesn't matter. Take it and leave. It's such a personal practice. If you don't have setbacks, I don't believe you, but yeah.
Like how was your experiences in like ACDA?
Yeah, so ACDA was great. Literally, like my best memory from college is being able to attend the ACDA National Conference. We hosted my sophomore year, and I was in a piece that performed there. We didn't host junior year. Junior year, we went to Minnesota at St. Olaf College. I was in a piece that was adjudicated there. So the difference my sophomore year is no one critiqued the dance I was in. We performed, and that was it. My junior year, we performed, and the next day, 3 judges pretty much sat in an auditorium and said their feedback about our piece. And the piece I was in was titled Our Home, and it was choreographed by Mariela Hernandez. And it was about our personal connection to home, what that means for us. Is home somewhere 3,000 miles away? Is home the dance studio? What is home to you? Is home your partner? All this kind of stuff. And it was a really personal piece that we kind of put together to get, like, we put it together as a team. We got really close on that trip. We all drove up there together. We all drove back together. Like it was a really like bonding experience for our cast. We go and we get our adjudicated feedback. It didn't align with what message we put on stage. It was a personal piece about, it was a happy dance. And some of the feedback and the critiques that the adjudicators had was assumptions about the piece based on the physical appearance of some of our dancers, and even choices that I personally made on stage. The feedbacks, they said it in the whole room. Like, I didn't like that she was doing this on stage. I was smiling in the dance because I was happy, because I was feeling joyous about home or whatever. But they said, I didn't really get this choice this dancer had to be happy on stage. And I was so taken of that just wrecked me emotionally. And then I talked with Gloria, I talked with Susan, and got built back up. And I was like, you know what? Dance is joyous. I'm happy when I'm dancing. I'm only going to create dances that make me happy. I'm only going to dance in a way that makes me happy. I'm done trying to dance in a way that makes these, these people happy that think you have to dance in this certain way, in this certain style. I'm done. I'm going to do me. This is it. And I think that was the worst moment to ever happen to me in dance world. So yes.
Dang, girl.
But it was fun. It was the best trip ever. But that 20 minutes where I was just honestly, this is I don't know. No one's really gonna watch this. I don't know. But I do you guys watch this in front of your class?
Everyone's gonna see
Okay, well, anyway, I was really I was oh, this is so bad. I was crying. I was this is so bad. I can't believe this adjudicator didn't this choice I made on stage. I was sobbing. And Gloria and Susan built it back up. And I was you're so right. Why am I listening to them? I gotta do me. But anyways, yeah.
Yeah. That's rough though. Just
and they also said stuff about other members of our piece as well. We had the assumption that they made about the dance was based off, you've met Henry, was based off his physical appearance. They thought the dance was about some sort of weird experience. They used the word cult, which we just hated. And it was just a really oh my God,
yeah,
we dance is personal, dance is and it taught me, especially coming from the competition world, it was if you keep some of these competition ideals and these ideas in your head, and this is the rhetoric you have around dance, it can be really damaging. In the competition world, it's a little bit more surface. Everything's very surface level. It's very, well, I didn't really like the choreography. It's nothing personal. But when you take dance into the artistic world like you do in college, but you keep some of those harmful ideas and messages in your head and you apply them to a more personal art form, it's really ooh, we got it. We need to get these really separate, or we need to really change our mindset when we're coming into these different areas, because that was not good.
Yeah, I would be sobbing too.
I did.
It's okay, girl. I understand.
Yeah, I'm over it.
Well, since you've done those competitions and all that, and you've done performing, would you say you're more inclined with performing, in those SDP?
Yeah.
SDP?
I love any chance to dance. That's any chance to dance is a chance to dance, and you better take it. I was a junior when COVID happened. The studio shut down, and I didn't get a dance my junior year, and that was the year that I had a lead in a group dance, and that was the year I had my first solo. And I was oh my God. So I'm going to take any opportunity to perform, whether it's a competition, whether it's a recital, whether it's SDP, ACDA, I don't care what style. And I'm in modern pieces, and I'm I'm not really a modern dancer, but any chance to dance and to be on stage is a yes for me. So I'm inclined to do anything.
Is there a piece that you have been particularly proud of?
Yeah, I choreographed that I was in. Either one.
The ones that you were actually just
yeah. So let me try and think. My sophomore year, I was in a duet choreographed by Mariela Hernandez with Sam. Can't remember his last name. And that was one of my first experiences in the dance program. That was my first time being in a piece with Mariela. My junior year, the Our Wear was with Mariela as well. So I definitely started to feel a connection to her as a choreographer. She pushed me so much as a dancer because she was such from the opposite world that I was coming from. I was new to the dance program. I was let me just do a student dance project. I just want to dance. I get cast in her piece. I go to rehearsal and I'm this is not what I'm used to. I'm used to she was a very collaborative choreographer. We were gonna, do exercises and work and do all these things to come up with the choreography, when I'm used to 5, 6, 7, 8 years what you're doing. And that was it pushed me so much as a dancer to try new things and to do all this stuff. we do the duet for SDP, and we were all kind of just like, okay, we're done. Like after SDP, you put the dances to rest, you go to sleep. And I get an email over winter break. I didn't even know ACDA was a thing. UNL is hosting the spring of my sophomore year. They put the 3 dances that had made ACDA, and ours was listed. I was like, no way, this duet isn't like, I have to keep doing this duet. And so I got to do this duet the entirety of my sophomore year. I got to work with Mariella and Sam the entirety of my sophomore year. So that was definitely a special connection that we were able to make in the studio, but also as people. So that was a really meaningful piece. And then also Artware, the second half of my junior year. So any piece with Mariella, it always like kind of stuck with me more than other pieces for sure.
Yeah, I've been in one of Mario's, and it's like
It's
a very different experience.
You put more emotion into it. I felt like you put more of yourself into it, especially Artware. Like it was personal. Like it was yourself on stage. A lot of dances, you're used to playing a character and playing a part. So, in the rehearsal I just had, I'm playing like, someone really angry. And so it's like, well, that's not me. I get to put this character on, but in her pieces, you don't get to put a character on. You're you. And that's more revealing and that's more vulnerable than playing a character for sure.
Yeah. And since you've been doing all that, like performing for pieces and all that, like how do you handle like those anxieties before going?
Same way I still feel the exact same way as I went on stage for my first competition number ever, as I do when I go on stage for ACDA or SDP or anything. I always feel the same. I'm always nervous. If you're not nervous, you don't care. That's what our studio director always said to us. She's like, if you're not nervous, you don't care. If you're nervous, it means you care. It means you want to do well. And you get the little techniques like giving your friends a squeeze. I always do that. But once you're out there and once you're dancing, it goes away. That's the best part. Is it's only when you're thinking about doing about the piece. But when you're actually on stage, I'm so in the moment. I'm not thinking about anything besides myself, which sounds bad.
Yeah, because I start to like feel a little shaky, but then like as I'm on stage, I like forget that I was nervous.
Oh yeah, for sure. You're so like into it. You're so in it, and with your cast as well.
Yeah, because like when we had the student dance project last time, I was in it, and like it was a new experience, so that's why I was maybe a extra nervous being in that. But I mean, like you said, like if you're not nervous, then it doesn't mean it means you don't really care as much, which is something my mom also mentioned too. Yeah,
so being nervous is okay. Having anxieties about things is normal.
It's okay, guys. And so now we'll move on to your goals and like advice you'd like to give to dancers, because I feel like maybe some dancers want to like get some motivation out of your own experiences. And so first off, like what are your future aspirations?
Yeah, so graduate in May with a Bachelor's of Science in Textiles, Merchandising, and Fashion Design. I'm gonna be so real. That's one of those degrees you get, and for me. And I'm like, you know what? That's what my degree's in. Who knows if I'm gonna work in that industry? If anything, I'm gonna take the skills. It's a very business degree. So I'm on the merchandising track, which is assortment planning, retail planning, planning for pretty much anything that people buy. That's kind of what merchandising is. I have a business minor, very basic skills. But more recently, I've been like, dance is like my passion, whether it's choreographing, whether it's teaching, or whether it's actually dancing. So like, I don't know when, I don't know where, but I know I want to keep dancing. I don't know how. I've thought about opening a studio. I've thought about dancing for a while. I've thought about so many different things. We'll see what happens. Like I'm not really gonna concrete plan my whole life. It's not that serious, you'll figure it out. But yeah, that's kind of some of my plans. Something I would say to like other dancers is like, I don't know. For me, I just think like it's crazy. Like I was never the person that was the best in the room. I was never the person that everyone thought she's so good. Like she's never like, anything like that, but I'm still dancing and I'm still dancing so heavily, and I'm the person that's gonna like that I'm thinking about dancing after college, and it's all that kind of stuff. And it's like, it's more for if I would say to like high school me, be like, it doesn't matter how high your leg, it doesn't matter how many turns you can do, matters if you're gonna go be on a dance team. But at the end of the day, I didn't do that, and I'm glad I didn't. I got so much other great experiences. And so I just keep working at your craft, because that's what dance is. It's a craft. There's so many great ways to be like into it. There's so many great ways to dance. So yeah.
Well, I think that'll be the last question I have.
Alright.
But thank you for coming. I
Yes.
appreciate it, and I appreciate you sharing your own stories and advices and experiences.
Yes.
You've done a lot, which is really good as a dancer because you
Thanks.
really need that experience
Yes.
to improve.
Any experience, any gig is a gig.
Yeah.
That's, you know. But thanks for having me. Thanks for letting me just
Yeah.
like talk about dance, something I love so much.
Yes, me too.
For sure.
But I don't know if you want to like say like follow you on
Oh,
Instagram or
follow me on Instagram at Grace Thomsen, but there's a period in between the G and the R. Let me think if there's anything else you should follow me on. No, just Instagram. I don't really use anything else. But yeah, and come to Student Dance Project. It is the weekend before Dead Week. Student tickets, I think, are $5. You can come see my choreography. You can see me dance and other great students' choreography as well. Come to Student Dance Project. It's a really good time.
Follow my Instagram. It is I was busy dancing pod, and I'll be posting just the promotions of like each dancer coming up on each episode, and stay tuned for more episodes each Tuesday.
Can we get a sneak peek? Who else are you interviewing?
For like next time, it'll be probably actually that'll be a little secret.
To be decided.
Yeah,
TBD.
yeah. But thank you guys for listening, watching, since it's gonna be on Spotify and YouTube, and the links for both of those will be in the bio of the Instagram account. So bye guys.
Thanks.